Bijan Robinson was selected with the number 8 overall pick. And listen, we can do a whole discussion on if you should or shouldn't draft a running back with pick number 8. Well, believe me, I've mentioned the discussion plenty of times on this channel. But what I wanted to do with this video is something a little bit different. Let's forget about all of that. Let's forget about the running back value discussion altogether, and instead just talk about Bijan himself. How well did he play as a rookie? Did he live up to the hype of being what was considered a generational talent? I mean, he was legitimately getting compared to Derrick Henry, largely due to being in the same offense Derrick Henry was in with the Arthur Smith offense. If you ask Pro Football Focus, did he live up to the hype? They say absolutely not. They had not great grades, not horrible, but not great grades on him. 38th in terms of overall running backs out of the 59 eligible players. 29th in rushing and 31st in receiving. That's where they put him. But again, you can't just look at Pro Football Focus grades and make your opinion. We can look at box score stats if you want to. These are certainly better for Bijan Robinson. He was 15th in overall rushing yards and 10th in yards per carry among running backs. So that's pretty good. Like, that's certainly something that you will accept, and was a pretty good player in the receiving game as well on top of it. So that's kind of what you look at if you're a Falcons fan. Now, again, is looking at box score stats the best way to evaluate a running back? No, it just isn't. Like, a huge component of it is just how many carries do you get. You can simply just go, like, 2 years ago, like, we saw Miles Sanders get 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns, right? And Dalvin Cook had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. Box score stats can only tell you so much, but still, there maybe is some optimism there. So, as always with this stuff, I'm going to want to watch film. So that's what I did. Went back and watched a lot of Bijan Robinson film, and this is the conclusion I came up with. First, this was early on. I can't remember if this was week 1 or it was one of the first weeks. This was the play that people saw and said, okay, he's worth it, worth pick number 8 overall. Don't even have to discuss it anymore. This is an amazing play. Because he really did, he shot out of the gate. And something like this was just an amazing play where you see how this works. Just going to flip him the ball underneath on a 3rd down and 4. Hopefully he can pick up the first down. Desmond Ridder has a very Desmond Ridder stat line going, currently 3 for 3 for negative 11 yards. But let's see if he can do better than that on this one, which is still going to be passing behind the line of scrimmage. And right off the bat, it starts off looking like Ridder's stat line is going to get even worse. I mean, there is a Carolina defender right in Bijan Robinson's face right here, but watch what Bijan does. Watch him sidestep the one Carolina player, runs through a couple other guys, and gets into the end zone for a touchdown. When Robinson makes one of his, great plays, it is awesome. And he has maybe the best big play ability out of any running back in football, save for a couple of people like Christian McCaffrey, and I would still throw Derrick Henry in there. And there are also some subtle things he can do well, so this play, for example, the left tackle for Atlanta right here, watch this block. Right off the bat, it's pretty well defended by Carolina. The defender pushes the tackle pretty far back here, so for Bijan, who originally wanted to run in that area, now kind of can't. There is a potential gap there, but that's still a little difficult to try and get over, and you're probably not going to gain too many yards if you do. However, Robinson gets over there and then is able to kind of just fall forward, and it takes a lot of contact to actually bring him down, and still finds a way to gain, 6-7 yards on a play that seemingly was going to get him nothing. So definitely you see these types of plays. Although I gotta be honest, again, I watch the film and then I come to my evaluation and come to my conclusion. A lot of people, I think, sometimes come to their conclusion already and then come up with, look for data or look for stats or look for film to back up their conclusion. I try to do the opposite. I try to go in with an open mind and just come to the conclusion I see, and I definitely saw plays like this with Robinson. When Ridder is going to hand the football off to Robinson, you see right here, there is, a couple of blocks right there. Really, it's not a running lane you should try to get through right here. There's not a gap here. More towards the bottom of the screen, you could bounce things to the outside and try to get a good amount of yards right here. In fact, I think if you're watching this as a fan, you're probably a little excited if you're a Falcons fan by how this play has started. I would see, Bijan at times make great reads and at times you see him just run kind of directly into a Carolina defender. And again, these plays happen really quickly. Even the smartest running backs in the league don't make the ideal read in real time 100% of the time. It's so much easier for me to sit here and, be able to pause it and say, oh, actually, you should have ran through there. But I'm just saying there are running backs who have a higher hit rate at this stuff than Robinson does. I think that's fair to say. But also, going over here, so, listen, at the end of the day, let's talk about the PFF grade again, I guess. We could sit here and say, PFF sucks, they don't know what they're talking about, all we want. At the end of the day, though, there are, a lot of really smart people who graded these games and said that his average was relatively low. But PFF also acknowledges, and something I always try to bring up, is that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad player. And there are sometimes explanations that are outside of your control about that. Like, for example, this. So it's going to be a screen pass to Bijan Robinson. This is something I just noticed a decent amount of when watching film. Look at that Carolina player right here. Look at what he's going to do. When this play begins, he really reads this one really well. Gets over and makes an immediate tackle on Robinson. No one in their right mind could blame Bijan Robinson for this play, but it hurts his box score stats, and I would assume, if I'm a PFF grader, I'm giving that a neutral grade, but again, you could maybe talk yourself into a negative grade, I suppose. I think that would be a little silly, but maybe you could talk yourself into it. But for me, I do think that when I watch something like this, it reminds you of, yeah, the Arthur Smith scheme was a little bit predictable, and that might have meant that he wasn't in as good of situations as you would have typically liked to be in. This one's another one where it's going to be a screen pass to Bijan Robinson. This the stuff he's good at. Get him in open space. Okay, great. Here's the issue. Watch how when this play begins, Carlton Davis knew it right away. I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so I was very invested in this game. I very much remember hearing Carlton Davis kind of say after the game, he knew this play was coming. So that's how he was able to jump the route. So for Robinson, sure, on these plays, it's not hurting his PFF grade. It's not hurting, this play didn't hurt his numbers or anything other than, I guess, a target to completion percentage ratio going down, but nobody looks at that stat anyway. But there probably are other plays that maybe aren't as obvious and maybe could be oh, well, he didn't do what he should have done on that play, but probably part of it was because it was a tougher situation due to the defense being aware of it. That's kind of the logic, I think. And of course, there's stuff like this where you see Desmond Ridder. There would have been one extra touchdown right there had Ridder made that throw, right? Didn't always have the, best quarterback play, which can hurt him in multiple ways. One of those ways is the obvious one, what we just saw, didn't get a touchdown there, missing throws towards him, but also it could take attention off of Bijan Robinson. So I do think that, Robinson had a really good rookie year. It wasn't a, top 5 running back rookie year probably, but it was a really good rookie year in my opinion. Much better than what the PFF grades would suggest in my opinion. I think it's reasonable to say, hey, give him another year. Usually with running backs, you kind of just assume they're going to be good right away because so many are good right away that you kind of just assume they're going to be, year one dominant. And if they're not, you're like, what's wrong with them? But part of that might just be that, hey, you're in an Arthur Smith offense. It's going to be tougher. Let's, give him another year to see if he can be dominant. So did Bijan Robinson live up to the hype for the Atlanta Falcons? That is the question I posed at the beginning of this video. That is the question I will answer now. No, he didn't live up to the hype. He was talked about is he going to be Derrick Henry? Is he going to be Christian McCaffrey? He wasn't that. He just wasn't. But he was a really good running back in his rookie season who, I think has plenty of room to get better and could potentially live up to the hype. Maybe next year when I make this video, I'll say, yeah, he's lived up to the hype. This is exactly what the Falcons thought they were getting drafting him. I should also mention the hype was insane. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't assume that a player who has never played in the NFL is going to be a Hall of Fame caliber player. The guys I'm listing are Hall of Famers. That's just an unfair expectation to hold a player into, if he wasn't a running back and he was playing this well at a different position, we'd all say, wow, really nailed that draft pick, right? So that's kind of the conclusion I've come to. I think among people that maybe are more casual fans, he's probably gotten a bit overrated due to being such a hyped up prospect and how good the highlights are with him, because the highlights are incredible. But I also think that he is, by most people's account and my account, still a really good player and has the potential to be the guy that some people believe he already is. So that's how I view it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.